Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the next session of Verilog HTL. So, in previous sessions, we discussed regarding few of the basics which were related to start off with Verilog, and next we started off with another session which included the introduction to HDL, Verilog HDL, that is hardware description language, in which we discussed what is meant by HDL, then how is it different from the regular languages like C and the other programming languages? And a few important things what we discussed was these topics, that is as specified. These kind of languages enables us for automated analysis, wherein programming is given more importance. You are not worried about how much time the entire thing, the logic, what you're implementing is taking. But in order to look after that, what you're doing is you are going for simulation. So simulation, as one of the person had the query, right? So what is meant by simulation? Simulation is, in short, in layman's language, it is nothing but mimicking the thing. For example, in Logic Design Lab, you build a circuit and you test it on the CRO, whether the intended result you're getting or not, or you test it on the LEDs, whether you're getting the results or not. But in simulation, what you do, the same circuit, you try to incorporate that in the software and try to see how the circuit is behaving. That is what you're trying to observe. And in simulation, what you do is you give importance to time. You see how much time the overall circuit is taking to execute and get the results. Say give the input at 0 second and you're getting the output at 1 second or 1 nanosecond. So how you can improve that speed? Can I get the speed? Can I get the output at a still faster rate? So something of these kind of analysis will be helpful when you're going for simulation. Okay. So then synthesis will be talking later because major things are these two, analysis and simulation. Synthesis we'll talk later. And no need to worry about what is meant by netlist, because netlist, what happens is it will be useful in cadence and other devices what you're using. So when you're building a IC, so that time you require a netlist over there. So just a simple example what I'm taking. So as mentioned previously, netlist will contain the physical electronic components, its specification and how they are interconnected. And apart from that, it can be used to create masks which can be used for developing the ICs. So these were a few things what we had discussed. Next, uh, the slight difference between your regular languages like C or algorithmic language evolve, and what's the difference between those and the HDL programming. So here in HDL, what happens is we discussed that importance, it explicitly includes the notion of time. That is what we had discussed. So, and we saw that what actually it implies. So in simulation, we are trying to look for the how much time does the circuit or the logic implementation takes in order to get the overall result. And we discussed XOR operation. So if I have some XOR this thing directly, if I'm able to get it, so what happens to that? And if I'm able to get it in some other form, what happens to that? Suppose for example, another example, if I have to take, right, your analysis related to DFT and FFT. So DFT and FFT are nothing but Fourier transforms. But what is happening? DFT is making use of those equations, and you're trying to do some operations repeatedly, and you're trying to get that. But in FFT, right, the same DFT is implemented in a faster form using some radix 2 method and using the bit reverse operations, using the butterfly diagrams. So how, I mean, how those are used, using the twiddle factors, using the weight factors. So those all things you are taking care. So that is one another example wherein you can check out how hardware can help out in implementing those things in a faster rate. So that is another example. So next we discussed where all HDL finds its applications. It finds its applications in building ASIC microprocessors, programmable logic devices. PLDs we had discussed previously, simple programmable logic devices, complex programmable logic devices, and FPGAs, field programmable gate array logics. So that is what we had discussed. Okay, now moving further. So these were the this was the recap of the previous class, what we had taken. Now in this one, we'll look forward. So what was the motivation for HDL? Now you might have seen that say your phones, if you just consider, just for example, the phones, if you just consider, your old phones were not very interactive in this form. Say they had very few features which were user friendly or which were easy to use. So if you say will not go for that, this thing, say if you're playing games, right? In previous this thing, you used to play simple games, just say like the snake and the other stuff. So those kind of games. But nowadays you are able to play even the graphics games. So now why this thing has changed? It is all because of the technology what is built in the ICs. Now previously in one IC there were say only about 100 transistors. You were able to fit only about 100 transistors, but now you are able to fit around 1,000, 10,000, more than 10,000 transistors in one small space. So that is what we call as large scale integration, very large scale integration, ultra large scale integration. So that is you are capable of fitting more number of components in a very small space which is given to you. So that is what happened was the complexity of the overall electronic circuit got increased. Now, why this? Because of the large scale, medium scale, say a very large scale and ultra large scale integrations which are possible. Nowadays, even if you see the systems, right, your computer systems, in your old computer systems, you might not be able to see the features which are present in the present systems which you are getting. So it is all because of the ICs. So in say in the laptop what you're using at home, previously we would say not able to play games on that. Just for example, we could not play games on that because say we had to install graphics cards and other stuff, so many things, and even what would happen is the system would not support those things because the space was less in terms of ICs when we are talking. The space when we consider in physical parameter of the system, that is large, but when I talk in terms of ICs, right, in a very small space, say say we can specify 1 centimeter square. If I specify in that form, 1 centimeter square, in that if I am previously I was able to place just 100 or 200 or 1000 transistors, but now we are able to place around 10,000 transistors. So that is the level of complexity which has been increased. Now it is like on a small breadboard, you are trying to incorporate all the things. So few people might be able to incorporate only some 2-3 components, but few people say they try to make out some things and they'll fit around 10 components on that. So it is something in this form. It may be you change some technological aspects over there and you'll be able to do that. So because of this, what happens is because of the increased complexity in the overall digital circuits what you're implementing, so that led to the development of HDL. In short, it is a hardware description language. Again, in this we have categories, so that we'll discuss later. Now here you had gone through the logic families, right? ECL, TTL, CMOS. So these are the different logic families which you had studied in digital electronics or logic design. So different these things have different pros and cons. So if ECL has some advantage, then CMOS will be having some advantage. Say this might be having the speed advantage, but whereas the speed compared to this one will be lesser, but for this one might be higher. Then another things designing using CMOS is say easier than ECL. So just a few examples what I am just taking over there. So these all things, that is the different families, the development of these families also led to have the HDL language. So in this case, in order to perform the digital logic descriptions at a very high level, High level in the sense, we'll check out what actually it implies later. Now, previously you had, if you have gone through, say, microprocessor, right? There you made of instructions something called as move something A comma B, which is a instruction. If you write the same thing in C programming, right, I might just write it as A is equal to B. In the back end, this is what is happening. This is what is happening. In C programming, I might write it in just simple term, A is equal to B. But when I go for mnemonics, right, I might write it in this form, move A comma B. This is just one instruction what I'm specifying. Actually, there are a number of things which happens. So when I write in high level language, it will be just move A comma B. So can I have some descriptions which are easy to understand? Which are easy to understand. If something has to be changed, we can change over there. So these digital descriptions we try to obtain at a high level. Now what happens is remembering such kind of things is easier as compared to remembering these things. This is just one instruction what I'm telling. There are so many n number of things which happens at the back end. So remembering programming or the other stuff related to C programming kind of thing is easier. Whereas if I go for such kind of things, right, a little bit difficult to remember. It is not hard, but a little bit difficult to remember or recollect those things. So these are the things. This is another motivation which led to the HDL. Then in module one, we'll just be having a look at this register transfer level abstraction. So what is happening? So you start with the general specification, then you break it down into smaller chunks. It is like you have the truth table. You have a truth table, and using that truth table, you go for K-map. You go for K-map. Then once you get the K-map, you solve the you get some expression, general expression, and after that you solve that general expression to simplify the overall equation. So it is something in these things. So here, if you just say it is truth table, so this is a kind of abstraction. So we'll just discuss what is this and what is this. We'll discuss in coming forth statements. So this is say at higher level we are understanding. This one is the lowest level which is present wherein you are trying to simplify. So if I give directly this expression to anybody, it will be difficult for them to tell that okay, it is implementing this truth table. But what we can do is using this expression we can build the entire thing and then we can get back the truth table. But directly it becomes difficult. So we'll look into these things in the coming slides. In order to implement the register transfer level abstraction, HDL also was HDL came into existence. So that is another motivation which led to HDL. Now here, if we just check out what are the major hardware description languages, that is HDL, this thing, we have two hardware description languages. One is called as VHDL, which was the first thing which was started. That is, it is very high speed integrated circuit hardware description language. Very high speed integrated circuit hardware description language. And next one was the Verilog. So these are the two major things which came as hardware description languages. Now both there were some difficulties in VHDL, so Verilog came into existence. So that was also some motivation. I can put it under motivation also. That to overcome some of the problems of VHDL, Verilog was developed. So just what is meant by VHDL? So previously we discussed HDL, right? So all the things what we have discussed for HDL also stands good for VHDL with the slight changes. So in the language you have some syntax changes, how you declare the variables and how you deal with that. So some slight differences there. It is like you have C++ and say Python. So how they are different? They do the same this thing, but they have slight differences in the style, what you write, the syntax, what you use. There are some rules and regulations what you have to follow when you are dealing with these things. So that is the difference which comes into existence. So what all things we had discussed previously, right? For HDL, what is HDL? What all, why it came into existence? What all things had been discussed in the previous this thing holds true for even these things. So therefore, to have precise and formal description of the logic circuit, for logic circuit, we can make use of VHDL. So here, if you just say again, it is nothing but a hardware description language, as the title itself specifies. Then it was used for designing the electronic design of automation. And in here, what was the other stuff was you can have some mixed mode analysis also. Mixed mode analysis, again, in which FPGA comes into existence and the ICs. So the same thing even holds even for Verilog. So that is, we had discussed these all things, right? So those all come into existence. That is for analysis, for simulation, and later for synthesis purpose, we'll just see what it is. Okay. So these again, what all things we have discussed for HDL in general will be holding true for the VHDL, that is used for precise and formal description of the logic circuits. Then for building the ASIC, FPGAs, PLDs, it can be useful for building the masks, and then later building the ICs from those. So these all things again hold true. I'll not be going in depth of VHDL because again it is slightly different. We'll just have a slight comparison later. So here we can just see how the code looks. No need to worry about this. So you can see like C programming, you have some libraries over here wherein you'll be specifying from IEEE this thing, IEEE dot this, all these things you'll be using. So how you have math.h and say stdio.h, similar kind of things will be present over here, but with some added parameters. So you can do the, whether you can do the operation at bit level, whether you can do it at byte level. So these all things are also comes into existence. In C programming, it is difficult to go for bit level, but when you come to these operations, right, you can perform operations even at the bit level. So when you are doing coding, right, that time you'll get to know what is actually these things. So this is how an entity is declared. Entity is declared whose name is circuit1. So in this we had entities, and entities were used to build the entire thing. Then we'll come to know what is actually meant by this. So we had some architecture definition in which we had everything defined over here. So what is meant by concurrent this thing we'll discuss later. So this is also one of the additional features of HDL, one of the special features of HDL. So these are just few things what you have. So in this you can see that we have something as in, out. So these are just a few things, that is you're specifying these all parameters, and you can see how the comments were declared. Double dash gives you the comments. So this is a VHDL code. This is a VHDL code. Okay, so this is how it looks. So it is making use of libraries. Comments are also present. Then like in C programming, you declare functions, right? Something of those kinds, you're declaring the entity over here. I'll not call it exactly as functions over here. You're declaring the entity, and you're defining what all things are input and what all things are output. Then you're telling what kind of architecture it follows, and you write the entire code here. So this is like the flower brackets, begin and end. So these are like flower brackets which you use in C programming, begin and end for this purpose. So this is how a VHDL code looks like. Okay. So now let us go ahead with the Verilog, and we'll be concentrating on the Verilog. So let us see what happens and why Verilog we move ahead. Now it is nothing but a hardware description language. So as mentioned, what is hardware description language, everything we have discussed previously. Then it is standardized IEEE 1364. So it is a IEEE specification which is provided. Then here again we can use it to model electronic systems. That is, in short, if I just specify the logic implementation, what we want to do and what is the system intended for. So those all things you will be able to model in these cases. So in Verilog, the same thing also we can do there, but the naming will be different. Instead of model, we are specifying say entity, and that itself will be the model. So that those are slight differences which come over there. Then we come across the design and verification of the digital circuits at register transfer level of abstraction. So in this case, right, what is meant by abstraction? First case. Now, for example, whenever you are asked to submit a synopsis, so what is the first thing you provide is you provide an abstract of the entire work what you want to carry out. So in abstract, what you're doing is you are just specifying, say, just a simple overview of what all things you want to carry out. You're not stressing on how it will be done. You're not stressing on how it will be done. You're just stressing on what all things you want to do. Say, I want to build a adder. I want to build a full adder using, I want to build a full adder. Now, say in that, so these are things what I'll be testing. So I'm just giving a simple example. So that is the abstract what you have specified. After that, when you start developing the adder, right, you might use different methods in order to implement that full adder. So first thing is directly go for the expression and you build it. That is, you have the truth table, realize the expressions, and you build it using the logic gates. So that is first case. Second case is you make use of two half adders and build the full adder. Next one, whether you want to consider the carry or not, whether you want to have a ripple adder or not, whether you want to have the carry back propagated and see what is the overall result. So those all things. So in different ways, if you want to implement, so that is what you will be doing. So in abstract, you are just telling what we want to do. You are not stressing on how we want to do. So what we want to do, that becomes the important parameter over there. So it just gives us the overview. Okay, this is what you want to look for. How you are looking out. So that is the next level. So the process of removing physical, spatial, or temporal details. So you're not specifying anything over there. You're just telling I want to build a adder, a full adder. You're not concentrating any of these things at that moment. But as you move further, later on, you will be looking forward on these aspects. So now you will not be stressing on those things. Okay. So you're looking out for these details. You remove these all physical, spatial, and temporal details or the attributes, that is the properties. In the study of the objects or system, you focus only on the details of greater importance. That is, you are just telling that I want to implement full adder. So that is of say critical importance at that moment. But how you're building it becomes importance when you go ahead. So you might give still more details also. Like if you want to build a project, so in that project you will not tell I'll be making use of. You will just specify that making use of database. I want to create an interactive application which keeps track of the people who are entering the college and exiting the college. So this is the abstract level representation. So here of critical importance is keeping track of the people who are moving in and out. Who is in, who is out, that might be another important parameter. Then storing that in the database. So those are the important parameters what you're looking out for. But how that implementation will be done, that will be of next level. So in abstraction, you are just specifying these things. So it is nothing but similar to like specifying in a very general form. You are specifying it in a very general form. So it is a process of generalization. So now what is meant by register transfer level? Now in this one, right, these things you'll be able to identify when you're doing the coding part. So in your lab, right, that time slight clearance will be there with respect to this, because you'll be able to see actually what is happening in simulation. So that time you'll have a clear understanding of what is actually present in this. So it is design abstraction, which basically models a synchronous digital circuit in terms of the flow of data and how the data is moving between the hardwares and what are the logical operations you are performing. So when I club all these things, right, what you're trying to specify in register transfer is how the transfer of data is happening between the registers. How the transfer of data is happening between the registers, and what are the operations you are performing on the signals which are being transferred between the register. So in short, if I specify, it is in this form. You're looking for transfer of data, how it is happening between the registers, and what are the processes you are passing the signal when you're transmitting it between, when you're exchanging it between the registers. So that is what you are looking out for. So it is just a, so that is what is specified. You are just telling that this is what is I am looking out for. I am looking out for how the data is exchanged between the registers and what is the operation which will be performed on the signals which have been exchanged between those registers. So you're just telling the abstract version of that. Actual implementation is done at the still lower level of implementation. So now Verilog has a variety of constructs which can be used for testing purpose and verification purpose. So constructs in the sense, for example, in a C programming, you have various rules and regulations which make up the constructs in using the C programming. For example, you have keywords like int, then you have float. Then if you want to go for looping constructs, then you have for, then you have while. So these are all constructs in C programming. So different this thing. So one used for variable declaration, one used for looping analysis. So these are all different constructs which are present in C programming. Similarly, we have some constructs which will be used for testing and verification of the description what you have given for the design. And later what you will be doing is using those, once you build it, you dump it onto the FPGA or CPLD and or the ASIC and try to see how it is actually working in the physical environment. That is what you're trying to test over there. Now, Verilog has two purposes. One for fulfilling the design description. So this will not stress much. So just remember, it is used for first fulfilling the design description and then for verifying the design. Suppose you are building a adder. For that adder, you have designed something and they have given the description that this is how we have to build it. So once that has been built, you try to verify that design, say either by putting that on the FPGA or CPLD and try to see how it is behaving. So that is what you're trying to do. Even in HDL also you do the same stuff, the VHDL. Sorry. So under this again we have functionality constraints, timing constraints. So what all things you are looking out is when you are verifying, it is not only the design what you are looking whether you are getting the intended functions or not. If you are adding two numbers, say in binary this thing, 1 plus 1, that is binary 1 plus binary 1 should give me a sum which results in 0. So that is what functionality you are testing out over there. If it is not giving 0, whether it is giving a don't care condition, whether it is giving a tri-state condition or something else, then so there must be some say mistakes which might have happened, and again you have to go back and recheck what has happened and what changes have to be done. And even you can look out for the timing constraints such as the propagation delay, that is at what time I give the input and what time I'm getting the output. And in between, I want to check, say at some parts, what is the delay which is present in that, then what is the hold time if it is present in those circuits. So these are the things what you are checking out for. Okay, functionality constraints and timing constraints. So here, just a comparison between Verilog and HDL, and why Verilog came over HDL. So as previously we just saw, right, we had, so if I just go for VHDL.